The situations portrayed in this program are very dangerous. They have been performed by trained professionals in order to replicate worst-case scenarios of real-life hazards. Viewers should not, under any circumstances, attempt to replicate any of the situations presented in the program. Coming up on House Hazards. The team unleashes a gardening nightmare.
This thing is a huge hazard.
Brendan's doppelganger feels the heat.
Burn, dummy Brendan, burn!
And an uninvited guest crashes a dinner party. Home, sweet home. Well, not as sweet as you might think. Your house is really out to get you. There are thousands of hazards hiding in every home, and our team of experts will separate the fiction from the facts so you can avoid domestic meltdown. Scientist Francesca will expose the hidden dangers lurking in every home. Engineer Dan will show you how everyday appliances can turn from labor-saving to life-threatening. And special effects expert Brendan will recreate the worst-case scenario. The automobile. Every year, 1.2 million people die in crashes worldwide. And hundreds of accidents involve cars crashing into homes. And in most cases, it's because of one simple mistake. The driver failed to step on the brakes in time to avoid a collision. The Hazard team wants to find out what kind of damage a car can do to your home. First, they're setting up an experiment to test their brakes.
35, 36, 37, 36, 35.
Oh!
And stop.
Driving at 50 kilometers per hour, the team wanted to see if Brendan could come to a safe stop after slamming on the brakes.
So what do you think?
It was pretty good.
Braking distance on dry pavement depends on the speed of the vehicle. At 50 kilometers per hour, it only took Brendan 9 meters to stop. But at speeds over 55 kilometers per hour, stopping distance increases dramatically.
So why don't we take this car to 40 miles an hour, I will hit the brakes, and we will see how far I travel.
Let's see it.
Okay.
Ideally, Brendan has exactly the right amount of space he needs to stop completely. But we're gonna see how hazardous it is to try and brake on a dime.
40 miles an hour is approximately 65 kilometers per hour. And at this high speed, Brendan has to accurately judge the distance he needs to bring his truck to a stop. To make things interesting, Francesca and Dan have set up a pane of glass just past the stop line, representing the living room window of a suburban home.
All right, Brendan, take two, floor it.
Here I come.
36, 37, 40, 42. Holding at 42, 43.
But before the team shows you what damage a car can do to a real house, Brendan is going to test out the Lawnmower, a hazard that sends 80,000 Americans to the ER every year.
It's a beautiful day to be in the backyard running things over with my lawnmower. And by the way, lawnmower, serious hazard.
Designed like a propeller engine, the Lawnmower uses torque to spin a sharp horizontal blade at approximately 3,000 revolutions per minute. Perfect for shredding through light objects.
Where the hell did he find that ball?
Which Brendan's going to demonstrate by mowing over a few examples.
What, he's been going through the garbage? Completely chewed up.
Whoa, 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 whoa! No, no, no! If you're gonna push this hazard this far, I want to be able to appreciate the destruction.
If you run over it like this, we're gonna miss everything that happens.
Yeah, all the good stuff is under there.
Okay, how do we do that?
Give us a second, and we're gonna rig something up so we can watch the chaos that happens when you run over stuff.
He likes to mess things up, but I want to understand why they're getting messed up and how. That's why we got to take this hazard to a new level.
As strong as it is, the Lawnmower can't cut through everything. But what it doesn't cut, it can propel at 320 kilometers an hour towards anyone standing in the line of fire.
You got some debris for me?
Exactly why you're supposed to check for hard objects before cutting the grass.
Awesome.
In this pile, we have all sorts of debris that's gonna go flying. We have kids' toys, marbles, rocks, all things that when they go airborne, pretty dangerous. I'm excited.
All right, we're good to go, Brendan.
All right, I'll start the mower.
Let's do it!
Yeah.
6 meters away from the lawnmower, the team has set up a wall of glass jars, which, when full, are stronger than your skull.
All right, here I go!
Okay. Yes!
This is what could happen when you run over something light enough to be propelled, but hard enough to kill. It only takes one rock, and someone's life could be at stake.
Well,
That is rough.
that's awesome.
Well, we destroyed a good, like, dozen or 2 dozen jars.
And I think one lawnmower. So the lawnmower's a hazard.
You think?
Do you think that was not a big stretch in the beginning? Like we were gonna get lawnmower hazard? I think so.
Well, we saw that shooting stuff out can be hazardous, but I've got one thing that's gonna make this look like preschool. All right, I agree that projectiles in a lawnmower, very scary. What I'm afraid of is the blade flying off.
Yeah.
I've released this blade, I've taken out all the notches that keep it on the drive shaft, and then I rigged this quick release. So whenever I get the blade spinning, I can just fire it off.
Corrosion and poor maintenance can actually cause lawnmowers to release their blades. And Dan is going to test this hazard by setting up a potential bloodbath in the backyard. The team is testing how hazardous a lawnmower can be, and they've designed a scenario to show the damage a loose blade can cause. Dan has rigged the mower's blade to a remote quick release so that he can remain behind the safety shield when it spins off. This is so dangerous, the team has no way of knowing where the blade might fly.
All right! All right! And on!
Whoa!
Oh, yeah.
Really? Yes?
What happened?
It actually went that way instead of that way, so really unpredictable. And look how much power it hit with. It actually bent the blade.
That's unbelievable. You know what? You got it to fly off while it was running, and that just confirms how hazardous we thought it was.
So where did it hit?
It actually hit right behind your head. It just goes to show you, you can't predict where these things are gonna fly off.
Definitely not.
But there's one hazard you can always predict: human stupidity. And when it comes to the lawnmower, it's the most hazardous of all, even though it could be entirely avoided.
Hey, Brendan, we're in position.
It only takes a second to drive over your foot with a lawnmower, which is why Brendan is using a pig's foot to simulate the carnage that happens when a human appendage gets caught in the blades.
Are you guys ready? Ready! And 3, 2, 1.
Oh, there's pig legs shavings
there you
everywhere.
go.
That was insane.
Oh, there you
Okay,
go.
that's gross.
It shaved pig flesh all across the yard. Look at it. This thing is a huge hazard.
No doubt about that. This is an injury that requires amputation 95% of the time. So you might want to pay attention to where you put your toes. The hazard team is testing the forces behind a vehicle plowing into a house. They've set up a pane of glass on a paved road and asked Brendan to bring his truck to a complete stop while going over 65 kilometers an hour.
All right, Brendan, floor it!
The higher the speed, the greater the braking distance, and the harder it will be to judge when to hit the brakes and avoid smashing into the glass.
36, 37, 40, 42. Holding at 42, 43.
Driving at full tilt, Brendan slams on the brakes, but fails to stop in time. If this were a house, Brendan's truck would be inside the living room.
Was that enough braking room?
I'm gonna go with no. What was that like?
That was fun. I'll do that again.
Just a small increase in speed made a huge difference in stopping distance.
Now that we know how this could happen, the Hazard team wants to find out just how much damage it could do to a home.
Let's go check out a spot where we can do it.
Okay.
But before the team shows you what damage a car can do to a real house, Francesca's cooking up another hazard in the kitchen. The modern electric toaster. Fast, convenient, and in 2008, deadly. Killing 791 people and making it one of the most fatal appliances you can have in your home.
Anything that can take an innocent piece of bread like this and turn it into a piece of charcoal like this is definitely a hazard.
A toaster is essentially a box with a heating element inside. When the lever is pushed down, electricity is allowed to flow through metallic elements made from resistor wires, which then radiate heat into whatever is put inside. Toasters may be a common appliance, but remember, they're designed to burn things, which means if you put something flammable in the toaster, like butter or oil, you could light a fire. Exactly what Francesca's about to try.
What do you got going on here?
I set up this mannequin to replace myself. I've got a gelatin hand waiting atop of the toaster. I want to see just how dangerous a toaster is when you're making toast.
Oh,
Getting smoke.
Within seconds, the coils inside have heated up to 650 degrees, 300 degrees hotter than the flash point of olive oil. If one drop of oil touches the wires, the toast could instantly ignite.
Okay, well, it works.
We definitely have a toaster fire.
Even with less oil than used here, buildup over time can easily spark a deadly fire. Never put oil in a toaster.
And it's gone.
See, even the mannequin knows to take their hand off a burning toaster.
Burning plastic. I'm out of here.
This is pretty hazardous. You think you can do better?
Yeah, I think I can do better than that.
The situations portrayed in this program are very dangerous. They have been performed by trained professionals in order to replicate worst-case scenarios of real-life hazards. Viewers should not, under any circumstances, attempt to replicate any of the situations presented in the program. Francesca has shown that buttering your bread before putting it in the toaster could result in a very hot breakfast. But Dan thinks the toaster has a far deadlier hazard card to play. When the toaster was first brought to market, it was one of the first appliances to come with a warning label in every box. And there's a reason why. Electrocution.
To show you how dangerous this is, I'm gonna do what everybody knows you should never do. Stick a knife into a toaster. Since I want uninterruptible power for this, and the house's power supply has some safeties built into it, I'm gonna use these car batteries.
Just like Francesca's experiment, Dan is using a gelatin hand with resistor wires put inside, which are designed to conduct inefficiently and turn current into heat, showing how electricity can move through the body.
In order to understand an electrocution, it's important to know the difference between volts and amps. If we think of an electrical current as a waterfall, the height of the waterfall would be the volts, and the amount of water falling would be the amps. That's why it's better to get hit with, say, 15,000 volts and 0.1 amps, like a raindrop falling from really, really high, instead of getting hit with 120 volts and 20 amps, kind of like a swimming pool falling on your head.
Dan's two car batteries are each only 12 volts, but the toaster will draw from them as much as 13 amps.
Here we go.
Less than the standard capacity of a kitchen power outlet, but more than enough to cause a severe electrocution.
Oh, you see that?
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's melting right through.
That's great. Well, quite clearly, there's an electrical current traveling through Dan's ballistics gel hand.
This is what happens to you when you get electrocuted. You're literally frying from the inside out.
Yeah, if you got your hand in there, and if you were being electrocuted, you could not let go. All your muscles would clench up, and this is what happens. I always enjoy a really good fire, but I have to say, electrocution wins.
Nothing is more common than a toaster. Something really innocent, but it can do this.
Breakfast never looks so dangerous. But lucky for us, it's nothing compared to dinner time back at the house. The Hazard team's testing how bad the damage could be if a car rams directly into a house. To prepare, they're building a ramp aimed right at the house, and they're swapping out the truck for a stunt car. All to make it safe for one person, the professional stunt driver.
So here's what's gonna happen. Our car's sitting 150 feet away. It's gonna get up to 35 miles per hour, hit the ramp, go through the patio doors, and go crashing into the dining room. Let's see how our house stands up to a car crash.
In most of the team's experiments, they remove a lot of safeties to make a hazard happen. But this time, there's no safety to protect this home from a 1.5-ton projectile. So to demonstrate just how shocking this accident can be, the team has prepared a perfect dinner party for the stuntman to crash.
The key thing is you need to hit the ramp straight on. Also, since the house is in such bad shape right now, we're gonna have about 200 feet of rope tied to your bumper so we can pull you out if the house collapses. Good luck.
With dinner set and the engine hot, the team's crash test is ready to go.
In 3, 2.
But before the stuntman puts his pedal to the metal, Brendan wants to test a real hazard that could happen to any wannabe handyman. Some hazards happen so fast it's impossible to get far enough away. That's why Brendan's using a dummy for this next hazard. He doesn't want to be anywhere nearby.
Propane is used by over 8 million people in North America, but it doesn't take a dummy to know that this is dangerous stuff. These little babies cost us over $29 million in property damage every year. That's an expensive barbecue.
The Hazard team has already shown that a propane canister has a safety built in, allowing gas to be released slowly so it doesn't explode. Even an empty container can be explosive if the safety is bypassed, which is what Brendan's about to demonstrate. He's going to drop an oxyacetylene welding torch next to a propane tank. Exactly the kind of scenario that could play itself out in garages everywhere.
It's time for this dummy to burn that dummy.
A gas welding torch like this one burns close to 4,000 degrees and can cut through steel almost instantly. Meaning, if this situation happened by accident, you'd have only seconds to react.
Burn, dummy Brendan, burn!
Propane tanks might seem relatively safe, but you'd be a dummy not to take them seriously.
There's only room for one Brendan. It wasn't him.
The team is investigating what kind of damage a car can inflict when it crashes into a home. 45 meters away is a car with a stunt driver ready to roll at 55 kilometers an hour towards the house. Inside is a family's worst nightmare, a typical Sunday dinner lying directly in the path of destruction, without a clue as to what's about to happen. Now all this experiment needs is a little bit of gas.
Well, that ruined dinner.
Stuntman, are you okay?
You know what? That guy's okay.
Let's check out the damage.
Well, dinner's gone.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
This made a huge mess of our dining room.
As we saw earlier, the faster you go, the greater the distance needed to stop safely. Even though the car was traveling at only 56 kilometers an hour, the devastation still hits home. Anyone sitting down for dinner would have no chance to avoid this life-threatening disaster.
At least this room's bigger than the garage. Maybe we should keep the car in here.
I think that's a good idea.
It's a nice addition.